So we're gonna try something fun today. I don't want to paint this front sprocket because paint will come off with the chain lube and with the dirt and the action of motocross, and it'll look crappy. So in an effort to make this front sprocket look somewhat decent, I'm going to try to hot blue it. I do a lot of cold bluing on gun barrels and stuff with cold blue chemicals, but I don't have any of that at work with me. So what I'm going to do is heat this, I bead blasted this, got all the muck off, make it nice and raw steel. But it's hardened raw steel, where they hardened it to make the steel hard so the teeth last a long time. So I'm going to heat that hardened steel up, and then I'm going to drop it in a little bit of used motor oil mixed with some parts wash solvent. I use the parts wash solvent as a bit of a carrier to have something to put this motor oil in. I would have used dirty old waste motor oil. Dirty used old waste motor oil is the best stuff to use because it's already dark in color and it's already got a lot of contaminants and carcinogens in it, and when you heat the metal up and drop the metal into that dirty used old motor oil, it makes a nice rich dark color. And I do that with a lot of small gun parts like triggers, hammers, not springs. Don't temper your springs, you mess them up. But triggers, hammers, pins, anything that's solid steel, because it slightly hardens it and it puts an exterior finish on it that won't rust. It's really nice. I'm going to try to do it with a pre-hardened sprocket, see what I get. My fear is I'm not going to get enough heat in the sprocket to get it hot enough so that when I dip it, it makes it change color. I got a feeling that that's going to be the challenge, is getting enough heat into that metal. But all I can do is try it. So I got a little bit of, let's get something to mix this up with, something long. I got a little bit of motor oil mixed in this parts wash solvent. We're going to get it nice and mixed up so there's motor oil all through that carrier. Okay, we're going to get that sprocket nice and red hot, hopefully, and then we're just going to drop it right in that chemical. What would be fun and would be great for my boss to hear about me doing is dropping that hot metal into that cup, and then all that chemical just like melting through the plastic and spraying everywhere and catching on fire. That would be so cool, but I don't really want that to happen because I'm a professional. So here we go, guys. Let's heat this sprocket up and see what we get. Okay, point the flame away from anything bicycle and anything flammable. Okay, now we'll get something all metal with a little hook on the end, like this. One of these little spring pullers that come with the Yoshimura kits. And we'll just see if we can heat that sprocket enough to see the alcohol evaporating off the steel, with little trace bits of oil and stuff evaporating off. So I got the metal good and warm now. Oh no. So what might happen is we might only get a few teeth red at a time, and then we'll blue those few teeth that are red, and then we'll get a certain color of bluing. And then of course the sprocket will be cool again, so you have to start all over and reheat it all up again and try it again at a different spot. And then you'll get a different pattern. And when we're done, what we might have are all these little different lines and waves and patterns of blue. Say hi, Kyle.
Hello, audience.
You didn't say hi, Kyle.
Hello, audience.
What can I do for you today, Kyle? You're just returning my tools? Leave payment in the toolbox. $5 per minute per tool, right? Okay, see this, guys? We're getting some darkness on the bottom teeth there. See that darkness? Really starting to get hot. We're going to go around the sprocket and see if we can put the whole thing to the same shade. If I can't, what we'll do is just glue them a few teeth at a time and get the wavy pattern. But if I can get the whole thing dark at once, that would be preferable. Now if you just darken that metal without dipping it in a liquid, you're annealing it and you're removing some of the hardness. That is not what you want to do to a front sprocket. Because with a front sprocket, you want it to be super hard. You want it to be extremely hard so that the chain doesn't wear it out. Okay? A front sprocket normally would wear out 4 times as fast as a rear sprocket because it has 1/4 of the teeth. So it does 4 times as many revolutions with 4 times the load on less teeth. But the reason that sprockets wear out in match sets in motorcycles is because the front one's always made out of tempered steel. And at least the good racing sprockets are always made out of aluminum. So that's why your front wears a little less quickly than the rear, and you wear them out in match sets. Okay, see how I got a nice even color going all the way across that metal, but it's slightly darker, but it's even. I bet that Mama Jama is hot. Alright, let's see if we do this. If it turns even darker, we know it worked. If the color gets darker when I put it in the liquid, I'm happy. If it gets lighter and it comes out looking like cold steel, like we just bead blasted it again, then I'm not happy. So here we go. Just turn the flame off in case this liquid splatters. We don't start a fire. Always have to think safety, boys and girls. Here we go, ready? Oh, look at that. Did it get dark in color? Oh, let's see. Look at that. It's like chemistry class, boys and girls. Okay. What do you think, Kyle? Did it get darker?
Looks quite a bit darker to me.
Looks quite a bit darker. Does it stink like massive chemicals and carcinogens?
I can't smell too well, so I can't attest to that.
I can attest to the fact that it stinks like massive chemicals and carcinogens.
What did you get today?
So today, what we did, boys and girls, is we successfully blued a front sprocket like you would a gun part. This is the bluing process. So we didn't remove the hardening too much. Maybe I damaged the hardening a little bit, but we didn't remove it too much because the metal got darker. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, we did a good job. Now, if I put more motor oil in that solution and less parts washer chemical, and I had more oil and less solvent, it would have got even darker. It would have got even blacker. But this is black enough to do the job. Okay, wear your helmets. Okay, Cycle for Lifers, here we go. We are sorting out some metal parts.
Yeah.
This is what the dirty parts look like. This is what the clean parts look like. So we're going to get all these parts either through the bead blaster or into the tumbler. Most of what goes in the bead blaster, I'm not bead blasting a carburetor, that's just sitting there. Most of what's going to go in the bead blaster are these big heavy metal parts. This I'm going to have welded first. I'm going to TIG weld up that fracture through there. But most of this big stuff will get bead blasted. And then all these little nuts and bolts and washers and clamps, like these are the front brake clamps, and all these spacers and nuts, and so these are sprocket bolts. All that stuff will just get thrown in this tumbler. I went to Harbor Freight and got some more media. This is not a Harbor Freight advertisement, but this stuff does work pretty good. You guys saw it on the RM250 video. The things you want to take out before you tumble, you don't want to be bead blasting or tumbling rubber parts. It scores out up the outer surface, and depending on what kind of material it is, it can take off protective finishes and coatings. And 9 times out of 10, like a rubber block like this, there's just no reason to blast it. Just wipe that stuff off with a rag and keep going. If you're really worried about the cosmetics of this, put silicone spray all around it. Let the silicone soak in for a couple days. Wipe it off with a rag. I've used sugar water in the past. Sugar water looks extremely nice on bicycle tires. That kind of rubber, you know. If you don't want to use anything with a carcinogen like a brake cleaner or carb cleaner or petroleum distillate type product, you can take sugar water and soak these and scrub them with a toothbrush, and that'll make them look real nice. But I'm not going to bother with all that. I'll just spray them with silicone, wipe them off with a rag, and rock on. This is going to get replaced. See the fractures in there? You really don't want any air leaking through those intake boots, guys. Hopefully this camera is picking up those fractures in that rubber. but there's cracks inside. See there, I don't know if the lighting's getting that, but there's cracks inside and outside of that manifold, and you just can't risk it. You just cannot risk getting an air leak after the carburetor. If you get an air leak back here in the air box, which this one would, see it's all messed up, you're going to suck in dirt, but you're not going to lean out your mixture because that air goes through the carburetor and gets mixed. If you have an air leak after the carburetor up on the cylinder head, you're going to lean out and you're going to get hot and you're going to burn and you're going to seize, because then your jetting's getting leaned out. So you cannot afford to have air leaks around your reed valves, your reed valve gaskets, crank seals, any of that stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get a new manifold on the way. He's getting it for me, right? Right. That's my favorite parts guy in the whole world. So we're going to take some of this tumbler material. It's all resin. It's just like a plasticky, resiny kind of stuff. And we just throw that in the tumbler. These tumblers are used for all kinds of different reasons. They're commonly marketed to gun owners for cleaning cases and gun parts with. But, you know, I use them also for motorcycle parts and stuff. So you just take your metal parts and just throw them in there like that. It's as simple as just laying it in there. These blocks like this, I could bead blast them, you know, or I could just do that and let the machine do it. See how much work that was? Let me see how much work this is. Hold on. Oh, look at all that work. And see, instead of standing over a bead blast machine, this thing will just shake and vibrate and irritate all my coworkers with a bunch of noise for hours and days on end. And then when I pick it, open it, there you go. Boom, nice looking parts. Those parts will look that clean when we're done tumbling it. So sort your rubber out. Sort out your big pieces that you're going to throw in the bead blaster. Okay? And then all your little nuts and bolts and all your little metal dowels. Like there's a metal spacer that goes inside the rubber rollers. You know, a little bracket for a brake guide. That's broken. The plastic part's taken off. But you know, just throw all that stuff in there. And these little plasticky, resiny little pyramids will just shake and vibrate, you know, for hours on end. And it'd be real nice. Okay, peace out. Where are your helmets? Right to? Tell them where their helmets, right to? Say, wear your helmet.
I'm not riding a bike.
He's not riding the bike, so he don't have to have the helmet. We're going to weld this fracture in this handlebar bracket. I don't want to buy an aftermarket setup. It's extremely expensive, and I straightened those stock bars out pretty straight. They're not perfect, but they're going to ride real well. And all the mounting cones for these, all the mounting cones are not rotted too bad. They're in pretty good shape for being from the 1980s. So I'm going to go ahead and use the stock clamps and stock bar setup. But I do need to gouge the metal out and hog out some metal on that fracture right there, because we want to get a nice deep penetrated weld. I do want to get that welded up nice and strong. So here we go.
Yeah?
That's what the parts look like when they went in. Let's see what they look like when they come out. Okay guys, this is what the aluminum looked like after we welded it. We got a nice TIG bead across the top that filled in that V channel I made. And I didn't V in the bottom, I just left the bottom flat and just built up on top of it. It's not that critical to joint. The clamping metal's here and here. This isn't doing any clamping. This is just reducing the twisting force from left to right, because you know they're rubber mounted. But yeah, everything looked real good. It started to fracture on this side, but it didn't go all the way up to the flat, so I didn't bother with it. But yeah, I'm not going to shape it. I mean, you know, if you wanted to be super professional, you'd grind that down flat and make it all look level and all. But you know, I'm not bothering with all that. I just bead blasted it and we're going to run it. I think it looks good. I think it looks real nice. So okay, we got the tumbler out there running. All this stuff will get bead blasted in the bead blaster. This stuff will just get cleaned up with soap and rags, and we'll keep going. Hey guys, I had this thing running for about 6 hours yesterday, and I had it running for about 7 hours today, so I got about 13 hours of run time with brand new tumbler media. I just let it go and go and go, and look at that. Look, we're doing good. We're doing good. Yeah. Did a little too good down in the center there. I should have put tape on that to keep the knurls there, but that's all right. The bolt looks good. Gonna be nice and shiny. I'm gonna have to paint all this stuff for corrosion protection. But yeah, this didn't clean all the way. I was afraid of that. It was anodized black, and anodization is hard to get off. You're actually literally removing the outer layer of metal. So I'm going to bead blast that. But all these bolts and hardware, man, and all this rusty little spacers and stuff, that's all going to come out looking real nice. Guys, this tumbler does really good job. It's got everything cleaned up real nice. It's really doing good. Cleaning all the rust and all that stuff off. But it couldn't get down inside of those pins. It just couldn't, so watch this. Look at that rust. Look at that rust all down in there. Thanks for coming to this Cycle for Life video, guys. We greatly do appreciate it. We're not doing this to make money. This isn't a financial thing. I've got day work, full-time job. But please do like, share, and subscribe, and click the notification button, because it helps us get this information in front of other people. And you never know. Maybe a motorcycle will save their life too. So wear your helmets, and no matter how fast you choose to ride, please ride safe. God bless.